Hello, welcome to VoltScript Ventures. My name is Devin Olson, but you can call me Spakey. I work with an incredible team here at HCL Labs, and in this video, I'm going to introduce you to one of our VoltScript VSS libraries, the VoltScript Logging Library. The VoltScript Logging Library provides simple logging and an error tracking framework. There are no dependencies. It's standardized with other languages. It's easy to capture error information and it is extensible. It's also completely open source. And here we have it right here. There's the URL. Here's the actual repository. You can go up and pull down the code and take a look at it. Latest release 1.01. It's our second release we released 2 weeks ago. We have full documentation, tutorials, how-to guides, topic guides, references. We have a full API documentation with all of the classes, and methods, constants, and all that kind of fun stuff. So here's the source code, the raw source that you can take a look at, our main classes, our constants, etc. So it's a pretty cool thing. Now, if you're going to be using VoltScript Logging Library and you have not yet watched Rocky's video on dependency management, you should stop now and go ahead and watch that video and then come on back to this one. All right, let's talk about the logging library classes. We're going to start with the very base level class, the error entry. Now this class, it allows us to track when an error occurs. So when an error occurs, you can spawn an error entry. We have an error session, and basically an error session is nothing more than a container class to carry all of our error entries that we have picked up and loaded in. We have a log entry, which defines effectively information that you, the developer, would like to log. So it's a carrier for information, and that has information such as the name of the class that the code was running in, the library name, the level that you've logged, any methods, the stack trace information if necessary, and the message that you wish to log. And then we have a log session, which is effectively a global carrier of all the log entries. And the very last class that I want to talk about is the base log writer, and this is kind of a special class. The base log writer class is a class that's designed for you, the developer, to extend and use to output your log information, your error entry information, your log entry information. The base library that we have provided is not designed for writing this information into a database or a container or a carrier or whatever file you choose to use. If you use a file system, it's not really made for that. But effectively, this library is the base from which you can control where that content's going to go. So we don't handle the writing out of the information. Basically, this library is specifically designed to carry the log and error information that you choose to log, and the base log writer is the base writer that you would extend to go ahead and output your log information. All right, that's pretty much enough of an intro. Let's go ahead and get on into a demo. Okay, welcome to the demo. Here we have my Visual Studio Code environment opened up to a folder called VoltScript Logging Demo, and I have an atlas.json file sitting here open. Because this video and this series of videos is specifically about VoltScript concepts, I am intentionally not demonstrating within a Foundry environment because I want to reduce potential confusion. So all of this development I'm going to do and demonstrations I'm going to do just within Visual Studio Code environment, maybe some command line stuff. That's probably all that I'm going to do. Another thing, as I said earlier in the introduction, if you haven't watched Rocky's video on VoltScript and dependency management, you need to do that, because otherwise what I'm about to do is going to be very confusing. So let's go ahead and go on. Here's my empty VoltScript development environment for this demonstration. Here's my atlas.json file. identifying what this is. It's a logging demo, version 100, VoltScript logging demo. That's me. Here's my directories, etc. I want to pull from the HCL GitHub repository, which is at api.github.com. This is the public repository that you can pull this code from right now. It's publicly available and it's open source. And the dependency that I want to use, that I'm concerned about, is actually VoltScript logging, and I'm pulling the latest version, which is at this point in time version 1.0.1. Look up here. Here's the actual repository. 1.0.1 is the current release. So there we go. And I'm going to go ahead and from here, I'm just going to go ahead and say, bring up my command palette and install my dependencies. And I'm just going to accept all of the defaults and just let it do its thing. It's pretty quick. So now I have my SetAI has been created, my effective atlas has been created, my necessary folders have been created for the development environment based upon the content of this atlas.json file. And let's go ahead and close atlas.json. We don't care about it anymore for this demo. And more importantly, I got my lib. I got my source code. So here is the VoltScript logging VSS source file. And that's the file we're going to start using and talking about. So let me go ahead and open up the outline. And we're going to come down to some of these low-level classes within this library. We have the error entry and we have the log entry class that we care about right now. And we're going to talk about them real quick. Log entry has a potential of 6 levels, which are, well, what's a log level? Well, up here, see in the constants, we have these constants, public constants right there. That's what we use. So a log entry has 6 levels. They're equivalent to fatal, comma, error, comma, warn, info, debug, and trace. These levels will be familiar to developers who've used logging frameworks such as Java or Rust or any other standard logging frameworks. The log session class, this class log session, it holds multiple log entries. It's a carrier for the multiple log entries. There's only one log session is allowed, so you have a single log session for the instance that you carry all your log entries. And we do very, very similar information for error entries. An error entry contains the information about an error. So the error message, the error code, maybe the error line, the thing that was triggered on a thread. You can get a stack trace from it, etc. And then the error session carries multiple error entries. So those are our main classes that we're going to care about. We're going to dive into them in a little more detail here in a few minutes. So how does all this work? Well, there's only one log session, and it's accessed via a global variable called global log session. Where's that? Well, it's right up here at the top of the library. Global log session. So that's how you get it. This code is deliberately designed to force this as a singleton, and it's created during the initialize event of your code. There's only one error session. It's accessed via a method, a global method called getErrorSession right here. That's how you get the error session, okay? And the code is deliberately designed to force this to be used as a singleton. It's lazy loaded on the first usage, so you can just pass information to the error session or to the log entry when you're creating it. Each one of these will have line number information defining where the line in the code was when you try to create your log entry or your error entry. And then for error management, you can use these standard methods like create an error entry or create a custom error entry. So to create an error entry, you just call this method and pass the information in, and that would be the logging level. And that's just kind of how it works. It's pretty simple. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and close this VoltScript logging library. Let's go ahead and create a file. I'm going to create main.vss. So here we are, and we'll just, this is a VoltScript source file, and because Visual Studio Code understands stuff, we can start typing. Option declare, and option public, and we want to use the VoltScript logging. Now we're in a source folder, so we need to tell it where the VoltScript logging library that we're going to use is. This is unlike LotusScript DDE, where it's just always available everywhere. You actually have to do some pathing here. So I want to say use dot dot slash libs libs, and type ahead can sometimes be a little frustrating. VoltScript logging logging. Now it's a little non-intuitive. If I did the .vss, it's going to have a problem. It doesn't like it, so just leave that and call that good. Use VoltScript logging. So I'm telling the system I want to use this, and I'm going to let's go ahead and create a function. So I'm going to magically use the code that I want to use from the demo, or for the demo, which is documented in that documentation that I referenced earlier. So we're just going to paste this right in here. Bap. Boop. Look at that. Here's my function. We're going to try this. So what are we going to do here? We're just going to write some code. So very simple code so far. We're going to print do processing. We're going to create a log entry. We're going to pass in the log level that we care about. We're going to pass in a line of text saying do processing. Okay. We're going to pass in some extended information, which in this case I don't have any extended information. And I'm going to pass in the keyword nothing. This would represent an error entry object that I want to pass to the constructor of the log entry. I'm not passing it an error entry, so I'm not going to worry about the error entry at this point in time. So I'm not passing anything. And then I'm going to come down here, and if my passed value that passes in here is greater than 4, I'm going to throw an error. Okay. And I'm going to otherwise, if an error doesn't occur, I'm going to go ahead and call the global log session. I'm going to create a log entry saying we ran processing successfully. In my catch, because it's a try block, if the pass value is greater than 6, I'm going to create a log entry saying it's a fatal log. Otherwise, I'm going to create a log entry saying it's just an error. And then finally, I'm going to go ahead and create a finished processing log entry, and then I'm going to return true. Pretty simple. The log levels that I can process are log fatal, log error, log warning, log info, log debug, and log trace. And again, those are listed right here at the top of this library. There's no logging, fatal, error, warn, info, debug, trace. So far, so good. So here's some raw code, a very simple function that we're going to deal with. Okay. And now let's kind of add a little more code to play with this do processing function. So this code, we're going to dim I as integer. We're going to call our do processing method, and we're going to pass in the value of I with the plus plus, because that's a cool new thing in VoltScript. We can increment the value with an I plus plus, kind of reverse logic, Yoda logic here. If we have a fatal error, then we're going to bail out. And we're going to print exiting. We're going to exit the sub. So far, so good. And we're going to run it. VoltScript, save and run script. Press enter. Look at this. We processed 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then we exited at 7. Wait a minute. Nothing was logged. Why was nothing logged? Oh no, nothing was logged. Well, nothing was logged because, as I explained earlier in the video, we haven't extended the log writer. So let's see what we can do next. Okay, so in order to write out the log entries to anything, I have to use that base log writer, and I referenced that earlier in this VoltScript logging library, the base log writer class. And this class, it's an abstract class, it's a base level class. It's designed specifically to be extended by your classes, but for the purposes of this demonstration, we can just create an instance of it directly. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and create an instance of the base log writer class. And through the magic of video editing, you can see my new code that I've added. I've created a variable called writer, and writer is an object instance of the base log writer class. Its name is myWriter, and following the constructor rules, it will handle everything from the lowest level, log debug. Just anything that comes in there other than log debug or log fatal, it'll ignore. But if it's outside of that range, it will ignore. If it's inside of this range, inclusive, it will use it. And then when it writes stuff out, it will write it following the rules in this JSON. And so this JSON says, I want you to write, and we use mustache tags in here, I want you to write the value of level name, and then a colon, and I want you to write the value of message, and then a comma, and then the next line I want you to use the word stack, and then I want you to write out the value of the stack trace. Once I've done that, I've instantiated that object, I go ahead and I add that writer to the global log session by calling the add log writer method, and then I go ahead and create a quick log entry. Hey, I'm starting my main, let's go ahead and do this, and nothing. And then I jump into the do processing code again. This is going to exit the sub, and that's really not right. Because this is really not proper code, I should exit a do instead because I'm inside of the loop. Yeah, it's ultimately going to have the same thing, but let's write our code the right way. And so there we go. There's a couple more things I want to do right now real quick because I'm actually using the log. I want to get rid of the print statements. So here's this print here, and I'm just going to rem that out because that's do processing pass value, and we're creating a log entry, do processing. And in fact, I'm just going to say this. Instead of enter do processing, we're going to say past val is, and I'm going to add past val. Oh no, it's an integer. Yeah, it's smart enough to figure it out. And so instead of writing that directly to the console, I'm adding it to the log entry when I create the log entry. Then I do the rest of the stuff in here, and then what I want to do, come down here, is see where I've done this print exiting at. I don't want to deal with that either. So it's not empty. So here I'm going to say, instead of print exiting, I'm going to say call global log session create entry, and I'm exiting at that. Boom, just like that. And we're going to go ahead and exit the do just like before. Oops, there we go. Okay, so there's our code. I don't have any direct prints. We're going to use the log writer to handle the log output to the console. Command Shift P, save and run script. Press enter, here we go. So what I've gotten now is a bunch of content whipped out to the console, and here we go. So debug, starting main, stack, main, initialize, line 37. So sub initialize, we've added the log writer right here. Line 37, starting main, its level is debug. Excuse me, the stack is within the main library, method initialize, line 37. So far so good. And that's the end of that one. And then the next one, we debug, past val is, there's the first debug. We ran do processing successfully. We finished do processing. Pass val is 1. We're running successfully. Pass val is 2. We're running successfully. And everything is fine. We're doing everything great until we hit, remember the code here, if it's greater than 4. So let's go find 5. Here it is, debug, line is 5. That's where we're at. We threw an error. There's the error information. We finish do processing and we continue on down. So basically this is a very, very basic way of handling and managing error entries and log entries. And I wish I had more time to dive into this deeper, but I just wanted to get a quick demo out to you to go and understand a little bit about VoltScript logging. It's a very, very powerful library. It's got a lot of features and a lot of capabilities and provides a lot of very, very useful tools for you to use. Okay, and that is the end of this quick demo and introduction to VoltScript logging. Again, my name is Devin Olson, and thank you very much for joining me for this video. Go in peace. Be excellent to each other.